you tell if this is?
I can't tell. You're asking me. This is a blind leading the blind.
I think it is. I think it is. It's, I have, he said start. I can't see where it's like going. I hit start. I hit that. So it must be. Oh.
Yep, it's going now.
Okay. Thank you.
Should we call this meeting to order and say so too, or only could all please rise for the pledge?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Mr. Eliza.
Eliza Boone.
Brandy Tellinger. Lila Duncan.
Tim Broderick.
Heidi Duson. Cara Walton.
Matt Juzokis.
And agenda review.
Make a motion. I'll make a motion to accept the agenda as submitted.
Second. Do you need to edit that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Minutes.
Make a motion to accept the minutes of the board meeting on October 18th.
Second. Discussion on minutes. All those in favor?
Aye.
I abstain.
And that brings us to our first public input session. If anyone has anything they would like to speak about this evening. Okay, closing public input for me.
Right. I thank you for moving me up so that I can get to class. Not often that I say that. I do appreciate that, so. I have 3 items this evening I just want to bring to your attention. First, last year we spoke about Bardstown Elementary School as being identified as a comprehensive support and improvement school. Just to quickly go over that, we were designated as a CSI school. They provided some additional funds for us to be able to develop a plan, which we did this past summer. That plan focused on UDL and also looking at our math curriculum and doing an assessment of that around our current mathematics program. It also provides stipends for our teaching and learning committee for that comprehensive curriculum review. And again, all of these have been implemented this current school year. In order to be removed from the CSI designation, we had to demonstrate progress on the indicators that caused us to be on quote-unquote the list as a result of our 22-23 SAS data. Dr. Broderick was informed last Wednesday, or excuse me, the 1st of November from the DOE that Bardstown has made the gains we need to make in order to be removed from CSI designation. When we take a look at our scores, one of the things that I want to point out is that while they're not up to the expectations that we want, we should be happy with some of the progress that we've made. I gave you a graph below that talks about the percentages of increase or decrease, and when you look at the majority of the grade levels, the percentage of increase was above the state average, in some cases well above the state average in terms of the growth. Again, you know, I commend obviously the students, the faculty and staff for their hard work. Being off the CSI designation doesn't stop us from doing the work that we set out to do. When I talked to you previously about this, we were heading down this course anyways, regardless of whether or not CSI was there. So we will continue to head down that road of UDL. We'll head down the road of taking a look at our math curriculum and all the things that we want to do to make to get the scores that we're looking for and the environment that we're looking for here at Bardstown Elementary School. Tomorrow I will be participating in a webinar because even though we're not a CSI school, we're an ATSI, which is assisted targeted. And one of our subgroups, we didn't make the mark, so I'll find out all of the details that go along with ATSI. So in our December meeting, I will update you on that. But again, I want to note that the teachers and the faculty and staff administration should be commended for the work that we've done. but know that it's not where we want it to be, and we'll continue to move and hope to continue to grow in those expectations. So, standards-based report cards, as I brought up to last month, at the start of trimester 2, our grades 4 and 5 will be experimenting with a standards-based grading and reporting system. During the parent-teacher conferences, teachers provided parents with an introduction to this approach and talked about some of the advantages that go along with a standards-based report card versus a traditional process. Principal Rob Dow, Mrs. Castley, and I have been working with Mr. Dumont in terms of setting that up, that standards-based report card in Power School. And our goal is to develop that unified report card K through 5. This will align with ACS, and that allows us to collaborate with them in terms of what's working, what's not working, and adjust the standards as necessary. So we're looking forward to that work over the next couple trimesters. Science of reading continues to be at the forefront for our administrative team. We'll be meeting 3 times this year with an outside consultant. We participate in a 90-minute seminar dedicated on the science of reading. This will continue, and each follow-up is based off of the previous one. And our hope is as we go through this, we start to develop a strategic plan, a game plan on how do we take the science of reading and start incorporating it into reading instruction and providing the support to the faculty and staff necessary to be able to put that into play. So you'll be hearing some more of that. Obviously, if you're part of the strategic plan, you'll be seeing some of that work as we move down the line here. So we're excited about it. It's across the system. So Alton's part of that, the high school's part of that, special ed is part of that. So we're all partaking in that. So exciting times.
I just have a quick question. And obviously, if I was going to ask about what happened in the percent changes in grade 5, I'd have to say something about grade 4.
Right.
Any explanation?
So,
I mean, those are big percentages.
Yeah, so we're looking at factors that may or may not be part of why 4 was so significant and 5 wasn't, and kind of looking at.
Well, it was significant in the other way.
Exactly, and having conversations with people around some of that information. Again, looking at where they were in grade 4 to 5, and seeing were they like that in grade 3. Again, looking at a cohort as a whole to see if the trend is similar or was it a particular year. And is it a transition year? So we'll look at other cohorts to see if maybe 4 to 5 is a transition year where we see a drop in more than one cohort versus just a single cohort.
Fairly recently, although kind of relevant, we introduced a new math program. I mean, I don't remember how long ago that was.
It was a long time.
It was before our time.
I think it was.
Not before mine.
Yeah.
Ours.
My daughter was a freshman. I think it was when she was like a kindergarten.
I think it's 7. I want to say 6 or 7 years at least. So that's kind of why we're
But
doing.
it was rolled out at the lower grades first,
Yeah.
correct?
And that's why we're doing the math curriculum review, because typically the 5 to 7 year range you want to start to take a look at to see the validity of it, and we're getting the results that we're looking for. And if we need to make an adjustment, we make an adjustment. If not, we can stay status quo.
Thank you.
One of the challenges with programs, which is a math program, comes
Right.
in, is you invest money in the resources, you invest money in training staff. In a school that might have 15 to 20% teacher turnover year after year after year, a lot of that knowledge walks out the door. So if you're not repeating training in the programs year after year after year, eventually you don't have an entire staff who are familiar with those programs. One way around that is what we're trying to do with curriculum, which is to create a documented, this is what we do at this grade level, this is what we do at this grade level. In the budget process that's about to start, when we get to the field trip lines after you get back up off the floor, based from our funding requests, you'll see that what we're trying to do is align kids leaving the building for learning experiences with what they are supposed to be learning each year. So that the decision to go out to the State House, for example, isn't based on, oh, I really like going to the State House, let's take the kids. It's the year we are learning about and working on state government topics, for example. And that's one little piece of a
Well,
very,
the other-
very big process.
The other part of the math program is this past summer, we did what we call the Math Institute, with people from Barnstead and Alton, and there was, I believe, 5 representatives from Barnstead. And we didn't necessarily focus in on a particular program, but basically good teaching techniques, and math and how to go about doing that, so that regardless of what the program is, those teaching techniques will come into play for that piece of it. So that group is continuing the work this year. They'll continue throughout, and then our goal will be is to do it again next summer, to get another group of people coming through. And then with the science of reading pieces of it, when we start to sit down as a whole group and figure out what our process is for that, we'll do a similar process where we'll do some summer training, we'll do throughout the school year more training, so we start to build capacity within that piece of it, and not focus on a particular program because of the fact that programs can come and go, but solid teaching is really where it's at.
No, I always thought math was math, you know, but.
Yeah.
Well, you never did that homework.
No, I know, I look at my grandkids and I'm going, I didn't learn that way, but, yeah, crazy. Okay, thank you.
On the table, and I'm making a note, not because we didn't already know, but because one of the things we still have to get to is a more detailed announcement to parents and guardians regarding some of this data. Matt's given you a table here tonight, and just to help with translation, the 4th grade, this is last spring's 4th grade. So the growth percentage is compared to their 3rd grade year. They're now in 5th grade. So the 5th grade group that Mrs. Landry noticed, we all noticed, that did not seem to show as much growth as students in our other grades by far, that was compared to their 4th grade year. That is our current 6th grade. They were in general classrooms in the modular buildings last year. We no longer use the modular buildings for general education classrooms. I'm not saying that is the reason, that is not what I'm saying. It seems like it could be a factor, so we feel good about the decision to put unified arts in the modulars or other things and try to avoid putting general classrooms out there. But again, that's not the reason. There's clearly more than one, and we have work to do. The only other thing on the data is as we drill deeper into it, we'll be back. We've shown you trend charts before. We'll show them to you again with last year added based on this data. We should see an uptick. That's what we expect. My estimate right now, we'll get an actual number based on all of our students' scores. Our students in from 21 to 22, sorry, everything lags by a year and it gets really confusing. For me, our students in the spring of 22 overall showed a gap, our average score compared to the state average score in math of about 20%. So if 40% of our students were advanced and proficient in math, 20% more than that were statewide. That's the gap I'm referring to right now. We should have closed that gap by about 13 percentage points based on what I think we see here. We're crunching the numbers and we'll get you that for sure. In reading, I think we closed that gap by about 6%. So we should see at least significant change in the trends or the trajectories of those charts. But I think the trick for us, and Matt already did it with you tonight, is we want to celebrate, but not too much, because this isn't where we should be, or where we want to be, and we are at the beginning, not the end, of an important process.
Thank you.
Thanks. principal's report. And what's in the packet?
So my report is submitted, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Lots of comments. Thank you. Enrollment is in the packet. Technology reports is in the packet. Sean's Children's Grounds report is in the packet. Did you want to add to that?
I can do it
Was
all
that
in
in your
one.
report? Okay.
Yeah, when you get to me, I can
Okay.
do it all.
Then we'll go on to financial. Any comments on the expenditure report?
And I have some questions. I know you're gonna have the answers, so don't be nervous. Actually, my questions probably involve the administration too, so, on page 2. I was looking at the, sped tuition, private, and it looks like we're hardly spending any money. Does that mean we've had a change in out-of-district placement?
No, so we have, a new special.
No, that's not the answer I want.
And
It means we haven't paid them yet.
we're
Yeah.
learning how to encumber the funds.
Oh.
We have contracts, we just have to, I have to show her how to encumber the funds, and then you'll see that line.
Okay, my other sped question was obviously related, it was at the high school level, but.
It's
that
the
would be
same,
answer.
yeah.
And now, I only have one more question, and that's on page 5. And school board salary, and it includes the treasurer. And I'm just curious with the amount that's remaining, because I haven't taken my stipend. So the amount isn't correct.
Right, yeah, the warrant, I haven't, updated the budget to include the warrants that passed for Barnstead.
But how would that change the school board salaries?
So the budget was already created before the increase happened.
There was a warrant article to increase school board stipends.
Yeah.
That passed.
Oh, I forgot all about that.
Well, just you wait.
I think it increased school board, it increased
Treasurer.
Yeah, it
Treasurer.
was gonna change it.
Something increased.
Something, you're right.
And they're
It
all
is
in
the
this line.
treasurer,
The
yeah.
treasurer
But
and
the
board members
amount
are all in
is-
this line.
total amount of the budget number, as far as I can figure it, is correct, because the treasurer's still 2,000?
No, that's what increased. It was
Okay.
it went up to 2,500, I believe.
But the amount remaining still isn't correct.
I'll get an answer for you.
I'm just,
Yeah.
it's not a lot of money, I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's all I got.
Superintendent's report.
So I brought two things to the table tonight, and monthly board report is what I normally bring you, so if we can, we'll start there. A lot of this, most of these items are from previous reports and are updates. We've had a decent run with BES, even though the last time I kind of pitched you doom and gloom about the future of that program. We've done pretty well over the last month or so. We've been able to hire some additional staff. One of our staffers has expanded her hours by 10 more a week. And we still have teachers showing up to keep that program open. We've been able to adjust the grant. We found out from the Department of Ed that we could offer a more competitive hourly wage using the grant funds, which was not something let's just say I was a little surprised when they told us no problem, you could do that, and I think that's been helpful. So that doesn't mean that it's all clear and we're home free from here, because the funding will only last as long as it lasts, and we need to continue to have staff show up in order to keep the program open. But I'm no longer concerned about December. We seem to be okay now. I will be inviting, as I told you I was going to be doing, all stakeholders, and I'm hoping that people will show up for this. And if I phrase my letter right, they'll be frightened enough that maybe a few will. Because it is about whether or not we can keep mass open for the rest of the year. It's pretty serious, and I'm hoping it won't just be parents who have kids in the program, but maybe some others from the community. BAS was originally started by a community group that wasn't necessarily directly benefiting from it, so I'm hopeful that maybe we'll get similar or some part of that interest back for this. So that'll happen December 5th. You're all invited, and you will receive a separate invitation here, this room, that evening. If you haven't been by here during the day, you don't realize that the satellite lot is under construction, but my guess is that you've all been by here during the day. We're really fortunate that the weather is going to be warm the next couple of days. It's going to approach 60 on Friday. More importantly, it's not going to freeze the next 2 nights. The top 18 inches or so of material out there is fresh material that they've trucked in and put down and rolled just in the last few days. So they're scheduled to put down pavement, binder pavement, this Friday afternoon, and we're no longer concerned about the temperatures and the weather. We think that we should be in the clear. Other than that, it seems to be going great. I didn't run out there just now because, as you saw, I kind of ran in here right at the last minute, but light bases were in place and about to be put in the ground, I think, this morning, so hopefully those are in. The access road was designed at 12 feet wide. Because of conditions on the site, we're letting them build it at 11 feet 6 inches. That's still wide enough to plow. There's no issue with that. Should be fine. I've started thinking, and Sean Astott and Heidi and Cara and I will be having some conversations in the next few weeks about a traffic flow plan. We might want to pull morning traffic off Maple Street way down there and have people actually drive on that access road, which would, when I've observed the backup on Maple Street in the morning, it usually doesn't go past that entrance to the parking lot. It may from time to time, but most of the time it seems to be from there to the school parking lot. So we might be able to take the traffic completely off Maple Street in the morning.
I think we have to enforce that people can't come and turn left into the parking lot, because that's the biggest issue,
Yep.
and it's gonna still be an issue if they're doing that.
So part of this thought process is signage, because at 11 feet, even at 12 feet, you know, at 11.6 or 12, it doesn't matter. That's a one-way road.
Right.
We're not gonna have this happening on that access road. So I think do not enter signs on this side if we decide to do this, and a no left turn sign in the median, which I can talk to the police, along with some other signage. I think that we have an opportunity here. You were talking about traffic flow mornings and afternoons at the very first meeting I think I ever came to here in Barnstead. Yeah, and maybe you've always been. So I don't want to predict that we're going to solve all the problems with this, but we might be able to make some of it better.
We want Maple Street to be a one-way street.
No. You know how complicated that is.
No, I know.
It's just surprising that there hasn't been like a really big, like I just worry about the safety. Some cars slow down, right? They understand it's for 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes in the afternoon, how chaotic it is. But then you're sitting there, okay, I'm waiting, right? I'm waiting on the side of Maple Street for afternoon pickup, and there's a car that just flies by. It's like, it's just an accident waiting to happen. So I understand, like, I don't know, again, if it's a state decision, how we improve it. You're absolutely right. There's room for improvement. It's a big safety concern. and people just make up their own rules, and it's really scary sometimes.
We might have an opportunity, so let us, over the next few weeks, we'll come up with a plan and see what we can do. We may have an
I
opportunity.
think it'll get better, right?
Yeah.
That's a great idea, getting people off that street altogether. And to Eliza's point, maybe some signage will help, right, to avoid some of those turns. But I've been there, like, you're looking like, hey, right, they're on your side, like, it's just dangerous.
We also do, please remember, intend in the spring to put at least a 4-foot chain link fence between that access road and the soccer field.
Yeah.
So I've learned a lot in the last couple of weeks about how people use the satellite lot during
Yeah.
drop off and pickup. But that could work out okay with that fence in place if we have traffic on that access road and then walkers going across on the other side of a fence. I think we could feel pretty good about that, pretty
Right.
safe.
And honestly, that fence would serve as a purpose in the fall.
To stop the ball.
To stop this, that's the
I
other
was like,
idea.
all of our
That is
trees
also-
are gone, that's gonna be a problem for next
I said
year,
at least
so.
4 feet.
Yeah, it's an ongoing concern, so I appreciate you just getting some ideas out there.
We'll work on that. On the cost side, at your last meeting, we had determined where $320,371 of the total project cost is coming from, and that money is ready to be encumbered, leaving us with $104,017 to determine the sources of. Not that we don't have it, we actually have it in a few different places, and it's a matter of deciding where to take that money from. Credit for this goes to Sean Asdot, who found a DES grant program for local source water protection. We have both a public water supply, our well, on this property, and we are within the riverfront zone to a public waterway, the Suncook River. So we qualified to apply, we don't know if we're going to get the money, for $25,000 in grant relief from DES. And we should know by the end of November, they've told us, if we're getting that. So that could further reduce the amount we need to find in district resources. And again, credit to Sean, right? He found it, he came in, we wrote it, didn't take long, it was great. On the ESSER and bond-funded A and B wing renovations that it seems like we've been talking about for a very long time, on October 19th, Sean, Heidi, and I, with Doug Proctor from H.L. Turner, interviewed 4 construction management firms who had responded to our RFP. We all agreed to recommend Milestone Construction, and whether you wait until action items or do it now, I would ask that you award construction management of the project to them. This year, they're entirely grant funded because of the ESSER qualification in that project. In the second year, they'd be funded by a part of the bond. So either way, you don't have a budget concern with funding their work. And I had originally written here kind of a shout out to North Branch Construction, who we were also really impressed with. A couple of factors that pushed Milestone over the top included that they have project management staff who reside here in Barnstead. So it looks like both our on-site superintendent and their office liaison, I'm not sure what her title was, they're both Barnstead residents, and she has kids in the school, which, you know, is nice when you can do it. But they also certainly had a very, very strong presentation. We really got down to very fine points when trying to make this decision. Overall, they were all really good, but North Branch and Milestone also. I would if you will. All right.
So Milestone Construction is the recommended project manager for the construction project.
I'll make a motion that we approve Milestone Construction for the improvements to the building.
As construction.
As construction.
Second, discussion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
you've discussed this at 2 previous meetings. You should know that this Friday, can I say this? Right? This Friday, we're delivering live checks for retention bonuses to teachers here at Barnstead, which is really exciting, and thank you. Their association president has already given them a heads up, and I've written a letter on your behalf, thanking them for everything they do and acknowledging that the board understands what the current employment situation is out there. There was actually just I don't know if I emailed this to all of you or not, but a commission of the state legislature looked at the teacher hiring crisis and came up with a series of recommendations, and here's a shocker. Number 1 was pay is not enough for teachers in general, and we are not one of the higher paying schools in the state or in the region. So just a report on that we've executed that.
Maybe if the state was to help us fund the school.
So that was one of their recommendations, was that the state look at but how many times in New Hampshire has a legislative committee or commission or somebody made that recommendation? I mean, when I was going to high school in New Hampshire, people were talking about this.
It took them so long to define what an adequate education was. I mean, and then I didn't like the definition.
The BEST, the support staff here, just an update. Their UNISERV representative has visited the school to start signing up members, but there's really no change for you. We have yet to receive a request to open negotiations, and their contract is set to expire this coming June 30th. I'm also shaking my head, Mrs. Lincoln. We'll see. And on number 6, look at that. I duplicated that item, so there you go. You can disregard number 6. Yeah, I think that's everything. The other thing I brought to you was sort of an addendum or a special ed related report, and I have 2 topics here. It has been a tumultuous couple of months, both here and at the high school in different ways in special education. Some of you are aware that primarily in response to things that were happening at the high school, I became a little more actively involved on a day-to-day or week-to-week basis. At the high school, we are short 2 special ed teachers. That has a lot of domino effects throughout the department and all the services we can provide. So mostly as a result of that, I asked Ruth Gruby, starting about 6 weeks ago, to spend essentially all of her work time at the high school personally, working with the staff there to make sure that we're getting done what we need to get done. That has left Pam McDonald primarily responsible for supervision of staff in both elementary schools. In my mind, that works pretty well, because some of the systems, such as the pyramid model of behavioral supports that we're implementing, already existed all in Central, and she's already been doing that work for a long time, so her supervision here makes sense to me. They were both already involved in all the schools anyway, so it's not as if anything here is new for Pam. Also, unlike last year, we are fully staffed with teachers, and I apologize for that, I'm going to get to that in a minute, here at Barnstead Elementary. That was our biggest problem in special ed last year, was keeping teachers or having enough teachers. We have 6 teachers, not including preschool. Preschool teachers also have to be certified in special education in New Hampshire. Those teachers overall are inexperienced. 2 are, could be termed veterans, but the other 4 are within the first 5 years of their careers, and 3 of those 4 are within the first year of their careers. That means we have a lot of training work to do, and that's what Pam and I have been working on together over the last several weeks. So there is a training session on free and appropriate public education, parent and student rights, and procedural safeguards for all of those special ed teachers coming up the Wednesday after Thanksgiving. The word Thanksgiving should be capitalized there. And we've also worked up about a 2.5-page list of additional training topics that we want to pursue over the next couple of years. We've located allocated a consultant who can come in and support this work. We have funding in place. Again, don't have to worry about impact on the budget. And we're in the planning stages now. We don't have an agreement with the consultant, which is the only reason I'm not identifying her here tonight, but that'll come next. And she is likely to start after this faith training, after Thanksgiving. I'm hoping we can start the next round of training in December, and then we'll go monthly for this year and either monthly or every other month next year. This is beneficial to all of us, obviously. It should improve the quality of our services, but it's also something our teachers need either for their full certification or their recertification. It's very common in Barnstead, and has been in the past as well, that when we hire teachers, especially special ed teachers, they're on what's called statements of eligibility, which means they're provisionally certified, and legally that means they're certified and they can work and they can do the job, but they also have to pursue additional training and education over a 3-year period in order to keep that certification and turn it into full certification. That's always been the case here. It's been pretty common. In fact, you had, I think our preschool teacher came in that way. I think the preschool teacher before her came in that way. We had a former director here who came in originally on an SOE. It is very common at Barnstead Elementary that our special ed teachers have historically come in on statements of eligibility. Nevertheless, that means that they have to do all of these training hours and cover all these topics within the next 3 years. It is in our interest to provide that, to be involved in that, and that's what this is going to do. And the other topic is back to that. I kind of smiled and apologized when I talked about being fully staffed with teachers, and this might be why we say we try not to respond on the spur of the moment in public, because last month, I made the statement in this meeting, we're fully staffed this year, and that's true. I was thinking of teachers. We have an opening for a speech pathologist at Barnstead Elementary. We do, and we have all year, and we have a speech path on a maternity leave at the moment, and we're covering those in a combination of ways with 3 different sources. And the unfortunate thing about that means that some of those services are in person and some of them are online or remote. We had this situation last year at Alton Central School. We have it this year at this school. Parents who do not wish to have their children receive those kinds of services online do not have to. And we will provide what's called compensatory services under the law without argument in those cases. So it is for Pam and the case managers to work with parents to figure out where we need to do that. But it's not a controversy for me. We'll do it. Like I said, we did do this in Alton last year. You weren't aware of it, but we had the exact same situation, and we provided some compensatory services as a result. Same thing will happen here if necessary. One little bit of good news, it actually happened yesterday. Pam emailed me, there's a new, we use 2 different subcontractors plus a person for this right now. A new subcontractor who we haven't worked with before called Soliant. Someone she had been in touch with but we hadn't employed or contracted with, has somebody available for 25 hours a week in the Lakes region in person. So we are right now figuring out which of our 25 hours a week online we can eliminate, and hopefully we get to take advantage of this. So that's this part. And I did just write it this afternoon, and I see some of the typographical errors in it.
So when they're getting online services,
Yep.
is there a person
Yeah, with
overseeing
her in
them?
the room.
So, okay, so
Yeah,
they're not
we
just,
don't
they're
put kids
supervised
alone in rooms.
on task.
Yeah.
Any other comments or questions for superintendent's report? Okay. Action items, we need to reaffirm the oil bid that Heidi put in the packet for us.
With urban.
Make a motion to accept the 23-24 oil bid with Irving
So remember,
Jason here.
remember we
Yeah,
asked for this.
We need Jason to
No, we
sign
didn't.
all
We
night.
asked them, no, it was simple, we asked for.
So these are the recommendations, well, section C, the second reading section, these are the recommendations from the School Boards Association of, policies that they found in their audit of Barnstead's policies that were out of date. The first reading policies are all the same ones that you saw for first reading last month at the joint board meeting. Because the same policy subcommittee met and looked at them all and decided what to recommend. So these from 1 through 13 and the 5 withdrawals, these are the same first reading policies you saw in October at last.
So can we just do like a motion of as presented instead of reading all of them, or?
That works for me, so go ahead. Yes, please.
But like different categories, right? So.
Yeah, like the first readings and then the withdrawals.
Okay.
And
So I make a motion to accept, the 13 policies presented for first reading as presented.
Second?
discussion on any of those? All those in favor?
I make a motion to accept the 5 policies for withdrawal.
Second?
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. Make a motion to accept the second reading of the 8 policies as presented.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
That was easy.
Good job.
We'd be here all night reading those things.
All right, personnel.
There's an error in your report. This is not a resignation, it is a retirement notification. Intent to retire at the end of the school year.
Was that the teachers, so did it meet the?
I have a non-public item for you regarding that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You were reading.
I make a motion to accept the retirement of Lori Reader.
Second?
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. I make a motion to accept the co-curricular stipends as presented.
Second? Discussion?
It's supposed to say basketball coach, not baseball. I thought.
Good catch. Yeah.
And the only other thing from a discussion standpoint, I would say is, do we have a boys A coach or girls coaches for basketball?
I'm unaware of the boys B coach. We do have a girls coach. Mark Williams, I think, is the coach.
Yeah. But I don't think he's doing both.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I just asked
Who
because I
wants to be-
think tryouts are supposed to be Monday, but like we haven't heard anything.
Send out a message today about the tryouts. I mean, about open gym and there was.
For the girls,
Yeah.
but there's been
There's no
radio
open gym for the
silence on
boys.
boys.
Yeah, there's no open gym, so I've heard nothing on that.
The latest update I had was, the prior boys 18 coach, regrets that he can't come back, he wants to, but we appreciate that his career is taken off, so, with respect to that and not knowing if we have an A coach available, is it possible, so I believe the gym's being opened right now, right, someone's volunteering to do, open gym for the girls tomorrow and Friday. can someone volunteer to do it for the boys as well? And I don't mind being that someone, I'm just asking, like, can that be done? I just would love to get them in the gym before tryouts.
We just have to be at, 1:36.
Yeah.
I don't see any problem. Our custodians are here, so we can.
That's what I just wanna make sure, like, if it's doable,
I don't see any
sometimes all it takes is a parent to step up and do it. And it does feel like it's really close, right, trying to find coaches. So anything we can do to try to put out there that we absolutely are looking for coaches. I just don't wanna see these kids go without a season coach, that's all.
An update from Mr. Watson.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
That will put on the calendar for, I don't put any announcements on, for the boys. And I can send something.
Yeah.
I can send something out before I leave, if you can definitely do that.
Yeah, so.
Families know today.
What time?
The girls are, 2:30 to, it might be 2. I have them
Sent it
set
out,
out.
yeah.
Hold on, don't let me speculate. Yeah, so they're right after school till 4 o'clock, so if you did, 4 or 4:15, whatever works for you. Or you can do later.
5? Yeah, I'm just.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine, the challenge always just becomes kids getting back, but those kids that really wanna be here, they'd have to come back either way,
for
right?
parent, yeah.
Well, they'd have to come back either way because the girls are.
You wouldn't want them hanging out
No,
for that
I was just
amount of
processing
time.
that, as I said,
Especially,
about
so maybe if we go later, it encourages them
Yeah,
to go home
it might
and
get,
come back.
and it might be easier for folks to get their kids back for 5 o'clock versus.
5 to 6:30?
That's fine with me.
Oh, thank you.
And we should probably let Kayla know too.
Oh yeah, I shouldn't offer, like, yeah, obviously she would have, if she wants to be there.
If she's available.
If she's available and wants to do it, I'll be there to help either way. Okay.
Pam, I only see Friday on our calendar. It's supposed to be Thursday as well, right?
That's surgery?
Yeah, I put
Okay.
that's the message, that's
Yep.
what I had in my information. I can update the calendar here.
For the girls, yeah. I just have all this time in my hands that I need to drive and
So we derailed the motion.
Okay, that's good.
Alright.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good.
So then I think we just need the BAS and para.
Oh, I make a motion to accept, Julian Simpson as BES development leader and Caitlin Chason as paraprofessional.
Second?
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Personnel. All right, that brings us to, public input number 2. If anyone has any public input.
Question. No, you don't have to answer, but Megan Taylor, I have a question about the remote services. So I was in my son's referral meeting, and we had at the beginning of November, it was the first meeting with I guess the school had with the remote speech person, and internet connection was terrible, so it was almost impossible to communicate with the speech person. So Kevin Nash at that time indicated that or Ed, I forget, it was Ed actually, Mears, said he would put in a work request because apparently this is an ongoing issue with Zoom meetings. So I was just wondering if there is anything going on to address that going forward, since we're providing services via remote Zoom, however we're doing it. And I'm also wondering if there is a what do you call it, a consent to do those services remotely. I haven't heard anything about that either. Thank you.
Somebody move that close to you.
We'll look into that. Thank you. Any other public input? Closing public input.
We have more data to crunch and present on CSI status and test scores and that kind of thing. I think the other items on my report have been pretty much month to month recently. There.
Is it time for us to approve budget meetings?
Yeah, we need to schedule budget meetings. Do you want to do that tonight or just talk to the two members before we leave? We've done the other budgets at this point. It's time. See how happy she is.
Well, haven't quite from the high school yet.
Any other business? Next meeting, December 20th.
I think it is.
Okay, all right.